Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio for this? I hope, I think, maybe. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it is time for the Welcome to My World noon edition on the 16th of March. Today is Wednesday. So, we're all noticing that there's very little volume today. And golly, this is kind of typical of what happens the morning of the FOMAC. People are not they're not really too interested in jumping into these markets. Uh, we'll have to see. They're going to release a statement and their prognostications and all this stuff at 2 o'clock. And then at 2:30, they'll hold a press conference. So at 2 o'clock, when those announcements are released, you're probably, if you watch TV or have some kind of a data feed or RSS feed or whatever you have, you probably see the talking heads talking and talking. And when they all start talking about, they all know everything, so I don't know why they even bother, but that will start the volatility going. And then at 2:30, Mrs. Yellen is likely to come on and start talking and talking. The economists don't seem to think that they're going to do anything, which is what they've done a great deal of for the last, many times, except in December when they did raise the rates 25 basis points. They're not expected to do that this time, but you never know with that bunch what they're likely to do. Probably just talk and talk about how they're going to. They're always going to do a bunch of things. So my point is just be really careful right in that 2 o'clock and 2:30. It's best just to stand aside and see what they say and watch how the markets respond. This morning we had crude oil inventory report at 10:30, and that report, the API was reporting that it was likely to be less than forecast, which you would think, a normal person would think, that would cause the crude oil futures to go up with a shorter supply, but it doesn't always work out that way. So this morning, when this alchemy, I really like this alchemy for painting these yellow candles. Right here at just before the announcement, 10:29, it started painting a bunch of yellow candles. It's best just to treat this 10:30 mark on crude oil a lot like you treat the open of the indices at 9:30. Just don't be in a real hurry to jump out there. But the alchemy put in right here, we've got a very nice, these check marks or V's or whatever they are, I really kind of like those things. But once it got through fiddling around here, it did put up a nice E. You could have taken it from the top of the P or from the rule is 3 ticks above the E. And notice you got right here at the same time this MVP, and there is an MVP training also. But the way I look at this is this 3750 magnet has been, that's been a pretty significant magnet for quite some time. So that, for me, makes a good entry. It's also the top of the P, and it's also this deviation. I'm sorry. I'm listening to a whole bunch of things all at the same time going off in my ear. Anyway, that would have given you 30 or 40 ticks. This one touchback right here is a little difficult to sit through. It's more obvious on Lori's C's, and I think she posted a chart that was uh, very, it was a good illustration of that particular trade. This morning, early in the morning, it wasn't all that early, but 8:30ish, bonds made a very nice 10 tick move down. And then we've had these indices, they're all kind of going the same direction today, except for TF. And it's been a little contrary here when it's backed off of its high. But this morning, TF and NQ and to a certain extent the YM put up some nice long moves. So there should have been several entry possibilities in there for you to capture some ticks. But after this, I would I would really wait and be very careful about this afternoon. If they do raise the interest rates, you're going to see the bonds start to fall because that's the way bonds work. When the interest rates go up, the price of bonds falls. And if they raise the interest rates, then it may cause the indices to go up. But I'd be very cautious, very cautious. We have the VIX, interestingly enough, right now is trading below 16, and this is the first time it's done that for, golly, I don't know, a couple of weeks or more. So keep that in mind. That is a significant thing to watch because the indices will trade opposite of that volatility. And we've had Brent in a nice upward. We're going to see a lot of volatility next week on the crude oil markets for a number of reasons. One is, I'm sorry, next month, in the month of April. Right now we're trading the April contract, and I plan to roll mine this afternoon to the May contract. If you don't know how to do that, go to the forum and just do a search for something like roll contracts, and there's screenshots and everything you need to know. One tip I will give you, if you use multiple charts, like I have multiple things up here, this little color link dealy over here, I think it defaults, Ninja has that defaulted to unlink, but you can put the same color on every one of your crude oil or NQ or whatever it is you trade, on every single one of those, and then when you roll, all you have to do, you have to change this in your instrument list first before you roll, but all you have to do is go over here and get your instrument list and click on one of them, and it will automatically change all of them for you at the same time. And Axel, yes, we're on the April contract right now, and the reason we are is because it's trading almost 300,000 contracts, which you can see that right here in the volume. This is what we're looking at right here. And the May is just under 200,000. So there's more contracts, and we want to follow the money. We want to stay with where the volume is, where the most trading is occurring. But tomorrow there will be a lot of these rolling because the April expires. What's the last day of that? In 5 days. Well, nobody's going to be holding that contract after Friday, that's for sure. So Thursday and Friday we'll see a lot of movement out of the April and into the May. Let's see. Yes, and Lori makes a great point. If you are trading Nadex, Nadex has already rolled theirs. This I know can be very confusing for people when they first come to Apex. Nadex rolls their contracts on a different schedule than the futures contract. And I'm trading futures off of this, so I want to follow the money. If you trade the Nadex, the spreads, or the binaries, you need to absolutely, I suggest you make a calendar and get ahead of that, because crude oil will roll every month. The indices will roll 4 times a year. Gold is a very oddball thing. It can sometimes roll within a month and sometimes within 2 months. So, and those grains, if you trade beans and corn on the Nadex, be sure you're aware of when those contracts are rolling. You can get that information off the Nadex website or off of the Apex website. I think it's within the spread function on that. So anyway, the indices are all kind of not doing a heck of a lot because they're waiting to see what the FOMAC has to say today will affect the dollar, and therefore the dollar affects some of these other currencies, and it will certainly affect gold too. So Dominic asks about the this volume chart thing right here. This is in your it's in, if you go to File, let's see, it's File, New, all the way down at the bottom, Time and Sales. You just have to be sure that you click in the middle and go to the instruments, and it will give you your instrument list. So that's how you get whatever instrument you want on there. If you are checking the volume between various contracts, you can go to the CME website. They have everything known to mankind on any of these contracts, because that's where all these, that is the ultimate exchange for these, the Globex. And many of the people in here have the TOS platform, and it's pretty easy to see the volume on those contracts and on that platform too. So tomorrow morning, we're going to have some economic numbers come out at 8:30 for both Canada and the U.S. And let's see what we have tomorrow morning. We're going to have at 8:30 is the Philly Fed and the unemployment in particular. So be careful of those. And then at 10 o'clock, we have a couple more. And for those of you trading Nadex, tomorrow at 10:30 is the nat gas inventory. I don't suggest you try to trade nat gas in futures. There are ways to trade it, but straight up futures is likely to bite you. So anyway, I think that's about it. I'm just going to sit tight and see what they do this afternoon, if anything. But it's kind of like a pressure valve comes off of these markets. It's like, whew, now we know. It's knowing one way or the other. So I think that's about it. I will see you tomorrow. This has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Thanks.